Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to your Super Bowl analysis show. I am the host, the diligent, vigilant, meticulous, sagacious, conscientious, analytical, methodical individual, the Chiseled Adonis. This video is sponsored by MyBookie.AG. Use the promo code Chiseled Adonis. It's the last and most important football game of the year, Super Bowl 53, live from Mercedes-Benz Stadium in hot Atlanta, where the New England Patriots, returning for the third consecutive time, take on the Los Angeles Rams in the NFL's biggest game. 17 years to the day in which they met each other in Super Bowl 36, where we saw the beginning of the dynasty of the New England Patriots. Now, enough of that theatrical stuff. This game, I'm expecting it to be the same way as last year, but a little bit different, because I think the defenses are going to come to play. Now, granted, we saw an abysmal Patriots defense throughout majority of the year. They tightened up in the postseason. We saw the exact same thing with the Rams. Throughout the entire year, they could not stop a soul on the ground, but they have since tightened up, and I don't think we're going to see a shootout situation that we saw last year, where the score ended up being 41-33 in the favor of the Philadelphia Eagles. That's the last time I'm going to give you guys a big up, because at the end of Sunday night, you will no longer be Super Bowl champions. But this particular game, I am expecting it to be somewhat exciting on both sides of the ball, because I expect the differential of points to be between 3 or 4. I'm thinking lower sort of number. It's going to be low 20s, high teens. So probably like a 21, 22-18, 21-17, a 20-17, in that sort of range. But let's break down exactly what needs to transpire for both teams. Number one, New England Patriots offensively. They can't allow the defense of the Rams to stifle them, preferably up front. Throughout the postseason, Tom Brady has been knocked down twice. Well, I should say he's been hit twice. We can't say he's been knocked down twice, but I think he's been touched twice. Sacked? Oh, that hasn't happened. The offensive line has protected this man to the nines. He can't simply be touched. And when he is touched, oh, that's a flag. You can't touch Brady. But offensively, they're moving the ball effectively. You saw them absolutely decimate the Los Angeles Chargers. They did whatever they wanted to. Then in the fourth quarter, the Chiefs couldn't stop the Patriots in the AFC Championship. In both games, the Patriots could not be stopped on third down. The Los Angeles Rams, they might want to try to stop that. For the New England Patriots, you might want to keep that train rolling, because they're extremely efficient on third down. More importantly, the run game has had its presence in the postseason. You've seen Sony Michel go over 100 yards in back-to-back postseason games. They bring that to the Super Bowl, in which they open up the playbook, and Tom Brady has the entire disclosure of every single offensive play at his fingertips. Oh, it's going to be a tough day for Ndamukong Suh, for Aaron Donald, for Aqib Talib, for Marcus Peters, Sean McVay, Wade Phillips. Everybody in Los Angeles not going to be having a good time if Tom Brady has disclosure of the entire playbook. Also, the pass game. In the slot, Julian Edelman has been murdering defenses back-to-back games. Back-to-back games. More importantly, Gronk is going to make his presence felt, because when the Super Bowl comes around, Gronk's going to get the ball in his hands. And I expect to see that exact same thing happen. Now, you know the Patriots offense, they work from the inside out. So they utilize the middle of the field, in between the hash marks. More importantly, I think that's what they're going to continue to utilize against this Rams defense, because the Rams linebacking core, they're all right against the run. They're not anything special there, but against the pass, I have no confidence in them. I have no confidence if there's a linebacker who's guarding Edelman. That's going to be a baby for Edelman, because he's going to, I use PEDs, get right by the linebacker. Now you got a situation where they're moving the chains. Gronk one-on-one with a linebacker, it's already a mismatch, because he's too big for you, he's too fast for you, his hand's too strong for you, and Gronk, I want football. He's going to move the chains. On the outside, you got a Philip Dorsett. You also got a Chris Hogan. They're a little bit sneaky. They don't get too much targets throughout the game. However, when the ball is thrown in their direction, they happen to make the most of their opportunities. But for the Patriots, which is most pivotal, is James White and also Rex Burkhead. How are they going to use those guys, and also Sony Michel as well? How are they going to use them in the pass game? Because when you see James White in the game, most of the time, he's going to get the ball dumped off to him. So if the Rams want to try to stop that man, you might want to put a linebacker out there, or maybe even key in a nickelback to want to hold that man coming out of the backfield. But the Patriots, they're going to use their inside-out sort of offensive methodology to make sure they can continue to move the ball. And I expect them to go out there and do that effectively for about 3 drives on the game. Now, for the Los Angeles Rams, defensively, how you want to stop that, it starts up front. Because if Tom Brady has time forever back there, you're not going to have a good time at all. So Aaron Donald and Ndamukong Suh, it starts with those 2 guys, all right? Because you got perennial Pro Bowlers, all pros in the middle of your defensive line. They've got to be able to beat their one-on-ones, and if one of them happens to be double team, the other one has to get penetration. And Ndamukong Suh has been on an absolute terror thus far in the playoffs. He hasn't been stopped yet in the playoffs. And it doesn't show on the stat sheet where you see a number of sacks through the wazoo. Oh, he's had 5 sacks in 2 games. No, that's not the case. But the man is completely destroying, decimating offensive guards, decimating centers, decimating tackles when he does stunts to go outside. It's ridiculous. If he plays with that same intensity and Aaron Donald shows up the same way he has in big games, or I should say earlier this season in larger games, then we could see the Rams start to slow down Tom Brady, more importantly, get to Tom Brady, because we know how to beat the Patriots is you got to be able to generate a pass rush without having to blitz. Now, those ends, whether it's Fowler or Brockers, those guys, they got to be able to get to the quarterback too. More importantly, gap control, because the Patriots like to make sure, oh, you're going to run upfield? Cool, we're just going to run right inside you. So if you're going to go rush, don't go, oh, I'm going to go on a wide 9 and try to go outside and curve myself in. No, because you're going to get beat. Oh, what was that? Let's just run a draw. Sony Michel going down the field. I don't use Xbox. I play PlayStation. And he's going to go and get a first down. All right? So the Rams up front, that's where it starts. The linebackers, they have to be able to make tackles. They cannot miss. Rex Burkhead, or I should say Tyrannosaurus Rex Burkhead, he's not easy to take down. When you hit him, he's, get off of me, I'm white. That's how the white man runs the football, and he gets the first down. You got to be able to hit him. He's not getting a high volume number of carries, but when he gets the ball in his hand, he's extremely productive. Did you see Sony Michel in the 4th quarter last game? I didn't. You know what I saw? I saw Rex Burkhead. Well, then again, I did see Sony Michel because he did go into the end zone on that 4th and inches, or I should say 4th and 1 situation. But outside of that, it was pretty much Rex Burkhead down the stretch. So Rex Burkhead is their closer. And when it's short yardage situation, they give him the ball. And he produces. So you got to figure out a way to tackle this man so he doesn't get positive yardage. More importantly, James White coming out the backfield. Those linebackers, those nickel corners, maybe even those safeties that happen to step down when you want to convert into a 4-4 like Wade Phillips likes to do. You got to make sure you can cover those running backs coming out of the backfield. And outside, Aqib Talib, Marcus Peters, you can't give up big plays. Aqib, I wouldn't expect him to do anything. But Marcus Peters, he likes to gamble. When I say Aqib, I wouldn't expect him to do anything. I wouldn't expect him to take risks that ultimately cost his team. Marcus Peters, on the other hand, like I was about to get to, he plays that style of football. He's one of those, well, I'm going to take a chance. Sometimes it works for me, sometimes it doesn't. This particular season, or I should say the last 2 seasons, it hasn't worked for him. So you got to know when to take calculated risk. But in this particular game, you can't be in a situation where you're going to be like, well, I just watched the Deion Sanders double play. I want to feel like I'm prime time. Let me try to bait the quarterback. Let me try to bait Tom Brady. I'm going to make it seem like I'm in a cover 2, and I'm going to use my speed, my breakaway speed, to go and catch up to the wide receiver. No, you're going to get beat. The ball's going to go right over your fingertips. Not as a touchdown, and everybody's looking at you like, what's going on? Huh? What's going on? You're going to have those same hecklers who was coming at you, I believe. I can't remember what stadium they happened to be in when he went to the sideline. Hey, man, where you from? That's what you're going to be asking after the Super Bowl. They're going to ask, hey, where you from? They're going to say back to you, well, where's your Super Bowl ring? You're going to be all, hello, darkness, my old friend. You got to know how to play effective football. Moving to the offensive side of football for the Los Angeles Rams, it starts here with the ground game. Todd Gurley, C.J. Anderson, they got to do what they did against Dallas. Bottom line, the running game has to be a presence. Because if it becomes the Jared Goff show, like I've been saying all season, I don't feel confident in it. It's possible that he can go and light it up. It is, because the man got talent from the quarterback position, especially with Sean McVay calling the plays. I'm not saying he's not a talented quarterback, but you cannot deny the talent they have in the backfield. You gotta be able to get C.J. Anderson and Todd Gurley going. Todd Gurley got the dreadlocks. Give him the ball. He can get positive production. More importantly, he's had over a week to rest. Well, I should say 2 weeks to rest. That hamstring that has been ailing him since late November, we're gonna go into this game at 100% because I checked the injury report for both teams. There are none Unless those who have gone through season-ending injury, obviously you know they weren't going to play. But those from the NFC Championship, those from the AFC Championship, those people who had anything ailing them, there's nobody on any sort of injury report. So I'm going to assume every single player, you're at 100%. Bottom line, well, 100% of what is going to be presented, because obviously through a grueling football season, nobody's actually 100%, unless you're a long snapper. But outside of that, we ain't talking about that right now. So I'm going to need Todd Gurley to go and get production. I believe he's going to need at least 20 touches, not just on the ground, but also through the air. Because the NFC Championship, we saw this man drop 2 different footballs. One resulted in an interception that led to a Saints field goal. The other resulted in a situation where the Rams had to settle for a field goal. I believe they were inside of the red zone as well during that particular time. So it's a shifting of points. When the ball comes Todd Gurley's way, he has to be able to catch it. Now, when he gets the carries on the ground, I would like to see him run more towards left than towards the right. Because on the Patriots side, with Trey Flowers bringing his penetration, he likes to do a little bit of a stunt where he comes inside on the guard. So if that does happen, then you have an opportunity to run through that B gap on the left side, on the right hip of Whitworth. I believe they can get a lot of production that particular way. But if I had the film to break it down for you guys, I would. But I've seen it a couple of times when I've watched Patriot games. It's very weird. Very good move from Trey Flowers, but you can kind of exploit it. But moving forward with the ground game, C.J. Anderson. I'm seeing a lot of people talk about, well, you know what? C.J. Anderson fits the offense a little bit better. They got to go out there and give him more carries than they're going to give to Gurley. I wouldn't do that. I would keep it somewhat equal, but give a little bit more carries to Gurley. Although Anderson has been eaten, they both play 2 different styles of football. So Sean McVay can't come out and make it predictable how they're going to utilize them. C.J. Anderson's not the same sort of back that Todd Gurley is in the pass game, but he does have hands that can catch the football. So I would say if you're going to try to disguise certain sort of plays that would usually go to Gurley, you can try them for Anderson and do the same thing in contrast for Gurley as well. But both those guys got to get going. As for Jared Goff, or I should say up front, the offensive line got a block. Jared Goff has been sacked 1 time this postseason, I believe. In the divisional game against Dallas, I don't believe he was sacked that game. He was not sacked that game. But the game against the Rams, the game against the Rams, they are the Rams. The game against the Saints, he was sacked 1 time, I believe. So they've got to be able to protect him. More importantly, that game against the Saints, he was under duress. For, I'd say, the first quarter, he was under duress. The second and third, it somewhat died down. But in the fourth and overtime, he was under duress all day. So they got to be able to protect effectively, because if the Patriots can bring a pass rush, you're in trouble. So those guys up front, they got to play effective football. Now, for the Patriots, or I should say for the Rams wide receivers and Jared Goff, Robert Woods, Brandon Cooks, these guys have to have a presence. Bottom line. Because remember, I've been saying it since the injury to Cooper Kupp, the Rams have been missing this man. His elite route running has been opening up the separation for Jared Goff to go find his safety blanket, because that's who it was, all right? Cooper Kupp was the safety blanket. Right now, Robert Woods occupies that space. But I'm going to need these guys to murder in the slot if they want to be able to win this particular game against this Patriots front where Bill Belichick has 2 weeks to prepare. All right? More importantly, Robert Woods, this is more of his sort of field of expertise coming into the slot, because Brandon Cooks can eat up a bunch of yards from outside or from the slot as well. But Robert Woods, he's been getting a predominant amount of his production from the slot. So I'd like to see a lot of option routes. I'd like to see a lot of crossing routes. I'd like to see him utilize that middle of the field. If the Patriots find themselves in a zone situation, find the open hole, sit there, Jared Goff, deliver the ball, move the chains. Don't try to, I'm going to catch the ball and make a big play and break off this tackle and all that other stuff. That's how you end up finding yourself beating yourself. You find yourself ended up like Juju Smith-Schuster, let me reach over. Oh, I done fumbled. And you don't want to turn the football over against the New England Patriots. We saw last year. Nick Foles threw an interception. It was inside the 10-yard line. The Patriots went 90 yards down the field, touchdown. So for the Rams, you got to be able to protect the football as well. But Jared Goff utilized that middle of the field the same way the Patriots are going to probably try to utilize the middle of the field as well, and then work your way out. Those tight ends, Higbee, Everett, they're going to have to be big. Not only in pass protection, but when you got to go out there to go catch the rock as well, they got to be able to get first downs and convert on third down. Now for the Patriots defense, up front, they got to get that pass rush. Trey Flowers and the boys up front, they got to be able to get to the quarterback, which I believe they should be able to, because we've seen this Rams offensive line not really perform at their highest levels since we began the postseason. But on the back end, the linebacking core, they got Hightower for this Super Bowl. They ain't have him last time. And you saw how that resulted with an L. When this guy is there and he's playing, he's making plays. I expect to see him all over the field. He's going to do what has to be done. Kyle Van Noy's the exact same thing. Chips Ahoy, it's Kyle Van Noy. He might just be in the backfield stopping Todd Gurley, stopping C.J. Anderson. Hell, he might just get to Jared Goff. So I expect those linebackers, those two, it starts with those two. They must set the tone, along with Trey Flowers. Now, in the secondary, McCourty twins, Gilmore, these guys can ball. I expect them to have a lot of man coverage, so it's going to be tough for the Rams receivers to get out there. Gilmore's going to probably blanket Cooks, so that's probably going to end up being a wash, because Gilmore has had a sensational season. So I expect to see him blanket Cooks. Now, that's where I said earlier with Woods, he's got to find out a way to beat whichever one of the McCourty twins it happens to be. I believe Patrick Chung is back there as well. So it's going to be a very tough game on both sides. But some keys for each team. Number one, can't turn the football over, preferably for the Rams. You can't turn the football over. You turn the football over, you're constantly finding yourself punting. The more possessions that the Patriots happen to have, the more in danger you're going to feel like you're in. All right, because Tom Brady, if he has over 30 minutes of time of possession, you're probably going to mess around and lose the game. All right, more importantly, you can't turn the football over like I said before. On top of that, you can't play, one-dimensional football. You got to try to have a balanced attack. You can't go, oh, well, we're going to Jared Goff show, we're only throwing. Oh, it's a Todd Gurley show, we're only running. Have our minds screwed on right. Now, for the Patriots, with this Rams team, you should be able to run the football, given what's presented to you. They've played very well the past two games, but I'm sure Belichick's going to think in his mind, well, they think that they're going to come out here, or I should say they think we're going to come out here and make it the Brady show and throw it all over the place, although they are capable, and Brady can throw all day. We've seen it last year, 505 yards in the Super Bowl. However, that run game is something serious, and I expect to see a lot of counter plays. I think the first possession for the Patriots, you're probably going to see Sony Michel, James White, Rex Burkhead get the ball a total of 6 times combined. Not on the first drive, obviously. That ended up being an 18-play drive. But no, that's not the case. I believe there's going to be 6 running plays on the very first Patriots drive. They get the ball first, they're fixing to run the ball. If they get it second and the Rams happen to go down the field and score, I think they're still fixing to run the ball, but it'll be more of a balanced attack because it's going to be a reactionary sort of drive. So it really depends on who gets the ball first, how they're going to come out. But I expect to see the Patriots go out there and run the ball. But there have always been the exact same keys to beat the New England Patriots. Protect your quarterback, that's one. 2, you got to be able to generate the pass rush with just your front 4. I don't know how many times I have to continue to say this. Number 3, you can't play zone defense at all. So the Rams, Wade Phillips, you've already defeated, Tom Brady in the playoffs twice. All right, with Denver, you got to know to come into this game, you cannot play zone coverage. You got to play man-to-man. So Aqib, man-to-man. Marcus Peters, man-to-man. Those guys everywhere, man-to-man. Because if you leave zone, Tom Brady is the absolute zone killer. All right? I was listening to Britney Spears. Title of her damn album was In the Zone. Tom Brady done came in my house and broke the CD because he's not here for zones. You got to make sure you don't play zone defense. All right? Number 4, can't turn the football over. Number 5, time of possession. All right? These are crucial points. As you saw last year, it became a shootout where the defenses were pretty much not even existent. The Rams need their defense because you got the 2-time defending Defensive Player of the Year in Aaron Donald. He's going to get the announcement tomorrow as the Defensive Player of the Year. So he has to come to play. More importantly for both teams, the stars have to show up. Because for the Patriots, honestly, their keys to win is Tom Brady, do what you do. Bill Belichick, do what you do. That's it. That's it. Because their dynasty has been based on those 2 guys. Nobody else really matters. It's a plug and play. Edelman can have a good game, bad game, doesn't matter. Tom Brady shows up and has a bad game, that's horrific. And Tom Brady is probably the biggest, or I should say the best big game performer in NFL history. If we talk about Super Bowl performance, Tom Brady's number one. Number one. Nobody comes close. Then you got Montana, you got Rice, you got Bradshaw, you know, got those other people underneath. But still, Tom Brady's number one when we talk about Super Bowl performances. Now, my pick to win this game. It was tough. Every single day, the pick continued to change. I'm leaning towards the New England Patriots. Why? Because I don't think I'll see a situation in which the Patriots lose 2 consecutive Super Bowls. I think Tom Brady, Bill Belichick, they'll come to play. Now, in my heart, my head says pick the Patriots. My heart says pick the Rams because it's storybook. I still believe the differential is going to be 4 to 3 points. Or I should say 3 to 4 points. If it was 4 to 3 points, then we're going in the backwards. It's kind of weird. So I think it's probably going to be a 21-17, a 21-18. I think a 20 is going to be involved. All right, but I think it's in that area. Between 21, let's go 21 to 24. That's going to be the winning number. Between 21 to 24, the losing number between 21 and 17. That's where it's going to be at. I'd say that's the margin. I think if it ends up being 24, 21, 23, 20, things in that nature, all right? But I'm picking the New England Patriots with my head. With my heart, I'm going with the Los Angeles Rams. I'm a bit conflicted, but if I had to write down who I believe is going to win, it's going to be the New England Patriots, all right? I'm expecting this to be a very good game. Now, if the Patriots do win, I think the MVP is going to be Tom Brady because obviously that's who they're going to give it to. I don't think there's going to be a situation in which they don't give it to him. Now, for the Rams, if they happen to go and pull off the victory, we're going to see the Rams MVP probably end up being Jared Goff because unless the run game gets going, because if the run game gets going, that running back is going to get the MVP. All right, I would love to say it's going to be Aaron Donald, but we don't know what's going to happen. If the defense starts coming out, well, we're going to see a defensive MVP for the first time since Von Miller. But this is going to be an exciting game. A lot of history combined with this game. If you remember Super Bowl 36, you saw Mike Martz coach himself out of the game because Kurt Warner was throwing all over the field, but Marshall Faulk had running lanes all day. Take what is given to you. Don't try to fall in love with what's being, oh, well, if we make it a passing lead, we are the greatest show on turf. Let's keep throwing the ball. No, if the running games were there, give the ball to Marshall. You would have been able to win. If Belichick comes out and does that exact same sort of scenario, and Sean McVay's awesome, let's fall in love with Jared Goff and throw him when you see the obvious running lanes for Gurley, this game is going to be over. But I digress because we'll be here for about 30 more additional minutes. The camera gonna mess around and cut off, and I'm gonna have to start over and not try to remember what I was talking about. But this is going to be an exciting Super Bowl. I'm excited. Originally, I was gonna go out to Atlanta to go watch the Super Bowl, but given the extreme cold that's going on over here, different stuff going on with the family, also the expense, thinking about probably saving my money, I decided, you know what, I'm gonna stay home and watch it here instead of, you know, going there to go watch it. If I'm gonna go to the Super Bowl for the first time, I want it to be the Pittsburgh Steelers, hopefully next year. But we ain't talking about that right now. This has been your pre-Super Bowl analysis show. I have been the host, the diligent, vigilant, meticulous, sagacious, conscientious, analytical, methodical individual, the Chiseled Adonis. Go to MyBookie.AG, use the promo code Chiseled Adonis. The over-under is 58 points. I am going with the under, obviously, given my analysis here, but I am picking with my head for the New England Patriots to win, but I'm putting my bet on the Rams because that is what I feel in my soul. Thus far in the playoffs, of all of my picks in every single game, we went 2-2 in the wild card round. In the divisional round, on the record, I'm 1-3, but I did end up changing 2 picks, so I'm unofficially 3-1. And in the conference championships, we were 0-2, so technically we're coming in at a perfect 5-5, unofficially 3-7. But I am picking the Rams on MyBookie.AG, but with my mind, I'm picking the New England Patriots. But God damn it, let's have a good Super Bowl in Atlanta.